episode of In the House. We have a really interesting chat today. We got TJ with Cascade Custom Pools here in Austin, Texas. But my name's Lonnie, and we got Michael here, and we're with Douglas Construction here in Austin, Texas as well. And we work for one of the premier builders in the state. And so one of the things that we want to do is be able to sit down and talk with artisans and architects and builders in the area, and really get a nice conversation on what it is that we do, and what inspires us, and some of the work that we're able to accomplish. But some of the things that we're going to talk about today are like where to invest your money in a pool project, and how to make your pool set it up for long-term success. So not just during the construction phase, but even later on, like during maintenance and weatherization and things like that. And then, we want to get into where's the future of pool construction headed, so that's something that we don't often talk about. It's one of those, parts of the industry that I think doesn't get a lot of attention. So we want to shine a big spotlight on it today and talk about pools and pool construction. So, but first of all, Michael, we have an interesting headline that we want to go over today, a little bit of current events. What is everybody griping about now, Michael?
Oh, everyone's got something to complain about.
Especially
this
you architects.
This
Guys,
one's interesting. This one, it is on the architecture side. Headline. Where did you first hear it? I guess maybe on Instagram or something.
Probably
CNN
just
or
through
something?
social media.
It was a major. It was some major media
Or the AIA, I think, is where I kind of caught wind of it first.
source, but federal. So the Big Beautiful Bill, Trump's act that he passed earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. I think it was this year.
Has this section in it that talks about federal funding for students, specifically college. And one of the things that as this bill's been being enacted, come to find out that there's certain degrees that's been excluded from the professional degree category, and architecture is one of those, along with nursing and some of these other ones. There's basically medical, law, and there was one more that was kind of considered the three as main professional degrees.
What is a professional degree? I guess, like, how does that distinguish itself from other, like an academic degree?
Professional degree is something that the degree is tied to licensure project.
Okay.
So like a doctor, you have to have a license to,
or engineering,
practice medical. Right.
Yeah.
Engineer.
Okay.
Another good example.
But see, this is odd. I feel like this is kind of a weird gray area, because you don't necessarily need to have a license to be, well, I guess, like, to carry the name and, like, to be an architect, quote unquote, you have to have a license.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean you can't practice architecture.
Yes and no.
Okay. Well, explain.
Well, no, you are right from a standpoint of, like, houses, for example.
Residential.
Well,
that's what we're talking about.
That's fair.
Okay. So, but to your point, in commercial settings, yeah, I mean, you have to have a licensed architect to do your design.
Yep.
Anything that's like a multifamily or deals with a lot of people coming in and out.
Big office building.
Office buildings, stuff like that. Venues. You need to have a license. Which, okay, I'm in agreement with. But if we're talking strictly residential, you do not need to have a license.
That's true.
To practice architecture.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we're talking about this reclassification of this professional degree, I mean, how does that necessarily impact the the architectural world? Yeah.
When I first read this, it kind of read like clickbait a little bit to me. The main thing they're doing is like kind of putting these categories for federal funding for student loans, which as a percentage of students, like percentage of students who get federal loans is relatively low,
right,
as a proportion of the whole.
Especially
so it's
if
not going to
if you
affect a
adjust
ton of people.
Federal loans for architecture,
right?
Yeah, it's very, very minimal.
That's even a smaller section. So, But at the same time, you're going, okay, why is architecture not being prioritized like something like law? Or so, okay. And I think some other areas, nurses had similar reactions of, hey, wait, we deserve this. We're a professional degree, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I think it would definitely makes it harder, right? There's less money designated for architecture students, but this is strictly at the federal level.
Yeah.
So there's
You can still
other
get degree or
loans.
You
Right.
can still get student loans.
Right.
You can still get scholarships,
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But it is. We'll see how that. I wonder if this is signaling a trajectory, of
like this could be a sign of
architecture,
something else.
architecture becoming less, the restrictions around its practice becoming less stringent. I don't know. It'd be
I
interesting.
think overall, that's a good thing. Less restrictions.
I think though that this is probably less.
I wonder what the goal is.
I think there was a lot of virtue signaling around
think so?
this statement. Yeah, people wanting to go, the government's,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
doing this because X or Y, more so than this actually having a
Like a-
significant impact on the architectural community.
But I wonder what the why the switch. Is the goal to try to reduce just the amount of federal student loan dollars like out there? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't understand the.
I think that was the original intent, and it came down to looking at the different programs
Mm-hmm.
and
like where to allocate
and
those.
where to allocate. Yeah, so some programs like dentistry, for example, there's more funding available
Right.
than something like architecture.
I mean, I guess
Those dentists.
I guess more people want to be doctors and dentists than they do architects. Right?
Honestly, I don't know that I have a problem with this.
Yeah.
With this, I think I like less like that. The industry as a whole should be able to help support,
Right.
the ecosystem, the students coming into the industry, and providing opportunities, not the federal government.
And I was just thinking, what's the purpose of a federal student loan?
Well, I mean,
why a federal student loan over just a private, I guess, student loan?
one's not necessarily better than the other, but I
Right.
think
They're
yeah. Well, hey, unless you need them, then they're good.
I guess, how do you qualify for a federal student loan?
That's something I don't know.
Well,
Do you know, TJ? anything
I would
about
have
that?
no idea.
Oh my gosh,
that's
totally
something-
unprepared.
That's something that's outside of my wheelhouse.
Well, maybe next time we can cover like how do you go about applying for a federal student loan.
Yeah.
Not that you would need to do that. Well, TJ, thank you for coming on. Let's jump right in. I wanted to start with your background. I want to know like where you came from. How did you get into the pool construction business?
So I was kind of born into it. I've been doing it. I feel like my first memories are, at least watching my dad, listening to my dad, probably more listening to my dad, his pager going off like, hey, call me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the whole the
Old
beeper
school
thing.
beepers,
yeah,
yeah.
and he actually had the voice one, so we'd be like in the middle of HEB, and it's just like someone yelling in the, hey,
No
call me back.
way.
Yeah,
Oh, kidding.
super old. So yeah, my dad he went to Southwest Texas, now Texas State, and while he was going to college there, he's always worked construction, but he was more on the framing side, like framing houses and stuff. And there was an opportunity for him to, I guess, frame pools, like do the forming and stuff for a pool company in Austin. It was at the time it was a big successful pool company for Austin back then, which this was late 70s, early 80s. A company called Syntex Pools, and they're no longer around. They kind of morphed into some other companies. So he started doing that, and he loved it. It was just something totally different. Not a lot of people were doing it. So he worked for that company for not very long, like maybe a year and a half, and he kind of thought to himself, man, I think I can do this. So he made the decision to strike out on his own, and he teamed up with kind of like we still do today. We really like working for home builders, and so he found a home builder or two, and they kind of took him under his wing and was feeding him work. And back then, a pool was not near what they are now as far as complexity.
Yeah.
So, you know, he did that for, you know, a long while, but and then I think so it was 82 is when he started Cascade Pools, which is what you know, what I eventually took over. And I was born in 85, and I just, you know, every summer from the time I was probably, I don't know, 10 or 12, I would work and just do odd jobs for him, and it was
awesome.
pretty much cleanup.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Digging a ditch into rock.
Yeah.
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 So actually, a few of it was me and two other buddies, and one of them is actually in the pool industry to this day, up in Utah. But we started just, you know, watching him, and I don't know. Fast forward to high school, I would do it, you know, every summer pretty seriously, and I started working. Actually, I think when I was 14 or 15, my dad was like, "Look, stop working for me, go work for our plumber. That's what you'll really start learning, you know, how this stuff is, how it needs to function."
That's
and whatnot.
smart. Yeah.
So, and the plumber at the time probably wasn't the best role model. He was a good plumber,
Gosh.
but
Sniffing too much glue, I guess.
yeah, yeah. But I learned a lot, and he's one of these guys. I mean, a hard ass. Like we're on the job site at like 4:30.
Wow.
Like, and I want to be done by 2.
Gotta beat the heat, man. Yeah.
And that was also right when I started. You know, I'm 15. I'm like 16. I'm starting to
Figure
like,
it out.
yeah, and that's the age to really start staying up later, going out with your friends. And here it is summer, and he's like, you know, you need to be ready for me to pick you up at 4 a.m. And it's like, so there was some mornings I don't even know if I went to bed, and I just roll out and
just like, all right.
Yeah, and but I did actually learn a lot from him. Not that he necessarily was like, hey, I'm going to teach you. It was like, I'm just, you know, I'm learning because I don't have no other choice. And so that was great. And then I stopped. I guess it was probably 17, maybe. I was like, you know what? I don't know what it was, but I was like, this isn't what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I want to do, but I want to, you know, I want to go off to school and figure it out. So I moved to, and it wasn't like I could go just to a university right out of high school. So I was like, I'm going to move to Steamboat, Colorado and snowboard. And there's a community college there. And eventually I'll figure it out.
That sounds like fun.
It was
Steamboat's an awesome place.
Oh man, it was great. It was a blast. I learned so much just about life just going up there with two of my buddies, and the two buddies I went up there with never even been to Steamboat. But like, yeah, we'll go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we got a house up there and did the ski bum thing for you know, about a year and a half, and then after about a year and a half, I'm like, okay, what am I really doing?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I actually got an opportunity. A friend of mine, a great musician, still to this day, he's in Robert O'Keen's band. He was like, hey, why don't you come on the road with us, and you know, you'll be like you'll sell merch, just kind of do whatever. I'm like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So I moved back home, did that for about 2 years, and that's a whole nother podcast. But while I was doing this, Pool Studio or Structure Studios is the software that the majority of any pool builder, designer uses, at least to get the initial like concept down, and then you take it into other software and programs and stuff. And there's a lot of probably more advanced designers and builders that don't use Pool Studio, but it's what I learned on, and it just came out right around then, and I saw it in, I don't know, a pool magazine or something, and advertising meant for it. So I looked into it and was like, you know what, I want to get this software and just play with it.
Right.
So I did, and I remember I went. It was right after they built. I think it's the Cabela's in Buda. They just finished it, and they were doing like a class for the software, and I was like, I'm gonna sign up and go. And I go there. It's a big conference room. There's one other guy in there.
That's awesome.
And I don't know, early 20s, maybe not, like 21 maybe, and he was like 60 or something, and he was just like, I don't even know, anything about computers, but here I am doing this, and I could have probably taught the person that was giving it like how they didn't even really know much, and at this point I'd have already been playing it, playing with it and understanding it, and so I did that, and then I started going on sales calls with my dad, and I would draw these things up in this 3D software, and then my dad would build it, and I would be like, wow, my brain came up with that, and
look at
he
that.
built
There
it.
it is.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And so that's what sparked my interest again. I was like, you know what, maybe I do want to do this. And then at the same time, I was still on the road with my buddy and his band, and I would take my computer, and I remember being in the back of the van, and I'm like designing pools as we're driving down the road.
That's so cool.
Because at the time, my dad was giving me a couple $100 per design, and that was like great. I mean, I could knock out a couple designs a week, and it was just running around money. It was great.
Yeah.
And so then eventually I was like, you know what, I want to get more serious about this. And that's when I stopped touring with the band and just started doing it full time. And once I got back home and wasn't, told my parents I'm not going to go back on the road anymore. I want to do this for real. My dad's like, well, you need to, let's start doing sales calls by yourself. You need to build some of the pools that you design.
Yeah.
And my dad is my best friend. I love him to death, but he is a horrible teacher. I mean, he's just like, I don't know.
Just do it.
Do it. So, and he'll be the first to admit it, but I, built, and he wouldn't let me go build a very complex pool. They were, simple pools. And so I got my feet wet doing that, and I just fell in love with it. I just thought everything is constantly changing. There's, you're just constantly solving problems.
Yep.
And I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
It's similar to building houses.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Really
Absolutely.
similar deal.
Except houses at least the houses y'all build there's just so many different phases of it. But
Moves a little slower.
that's really what got me doing it full time. And then fast forward to now, and here we are. But I ended up bringing in one of my best friends from high school. He actually went off to the military and did a few tours in Afghanistan, came back, and was like, dude, I need a job. I'll literally do anything. And he literally was like, doing like very grunt work stuff for us, because he knew nothing about construction.
Yeah.
And that's Jason. And he he slowly started picking stuff up, and next thing you know, he's managing projects. And
Come on.
my dad was always kind of a one-man show. He might have a project manager here and there, and he had an office lady or a bookkeeper, but he never wanted. That was his little model. He was good at it, and he didn't ever want to get out of that.
Yeah.
And I kind of told myself, when I go into it, if this is what I'm going to do, I really want to kind of go up a notch and take it to the next level. And we definitely butted heads a little bit, but he eventually saw, okay, this will work. And it was tough at first, because I hired a few of my buddies, and we made a lot of mistakes, and it cost him a ton of money. But at the end of the day, you got to learn somehow. And he would tell you right now that it's worth it. And people don't like change, but at the same time, that's the only way that we could have really, I think, it continued Cascade. And we also, we needed to to grow with Austin.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
and just with the times.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much, where
That's
we are
awesome.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, what does it look like, being in today's market and world for pools versus, 20 years ago?
Oh my God, it's the construction methods have completely changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
The way that we were building pools, I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we did stuff that way.
Yeah.
That's the same
Yeah.
thing with home builders. You look
Yeah.
back, I mean, even like a decade ago, you're like,
Yeah.
good Lord, I can't
Yeah.
believe that was acceptable back then.
That's
Like,
gonna,
that was the
that's gonna
standard?
mold. Yeah.
Good
I mean,
Lord.
Waterproofing, they didn't even, that wasn't even a thing. Oh, what do you mean? We plaster the pool.
Yeah. It's like
Plaster is not
plaster-
waterproof.
Plaster is not waterproof.
Yeah.
And so and I do think certain materials too aren't maybe what they were back then. Like, I don't know, concrete, I can't really say definitively, but I do know some of the concrete shells, like shotcrete shells that were done in like the 90s. I mean, they are bulletproof. They're
Yeah.
where, I don't know what it is, whether it's the cement powder or, there's different classes of it that changes. But at the end of the day, I would say the methods of construction have changed. Of course, the design, like, I mean, the
Wasn't there like a huge lawsuit thing
Yeah.
regarding
Concrete cancer.
ASR.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
ASR.
Yeah, and that's
That
still
reminds
just
me.
we limit ourselves to one a week. Where what I mean by that is we'll do one ASR.
And
like,
what's the ASR?
So ASR is
People don't know.
alkali silica reaction, and what it is the aggregate in the shotcrete mix is reactive, and so it basically over time, if moisture gets to that aggregate when it's mixed with the cement powder, it turns the cement powder into like a gel and it starts to expand, and then you get spiderweb cracking everywhere.
Whoosh.
And they call it cancer because it's kind of, once it happens, that reaction, it just runs its course. And ultimately the pools have to be ripped out and replaced. And
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Or
there's
foundations.
Oh, yeah,
It's
and
affected a lot.
they're
of
starting to
different-
find quite a bit of it in foundations now
Yeah.
too. It's just taking longer because foundations aren't holding water.
You're very right. Yeah. That's true.
So it's a mess. And honestly, when it first, when I first heard about it, of course, I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds made up. Like, what do you mean? And then, then it's like, wait a minute. It's because shotcrete providers weren't putting fly ash in there. Well, why not? No one told us they weren't putting fly ash in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, luckily we've always done gunite. I mean, almost out of luck. Like, it's not like I have no problem with shotcrete. In fact, there was engineers before ASR that would spec this needs to be shotcrete because it's more regulated. Gunite, the nozzle, the guy running the nozzle, he's controlling the water, and there's just it's not as controlled.
Sure.
And now I see specs and it's like must use gunite
Yeah.
because of the ASR issue. But you can get ASR and gunite. It just
Yeah.
they haven't been any in Central Texas,
It's not as prevalent.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, kind of along that line, I wanted to get into, I want your opinion on, because you've been doing this, your whole life. What are some key areas that builders or architects should really focus on to make their pool project a long-term success?
I would say it all starts from the planning stages. If we get called in and everything is what everybody thinks is done as far as design, and we just get handed a set of plans to go build, and nobody's ran hydraulics, and they're giving us a pad that's 6 foot by 3, and it's this big pool. there's
an equipment pad to house all the
right.
It's undersized.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like longevity with a pool and everything, I mean, a lot of it and what has changed when you ask the question about from, when I guess years ago compared to now, it's waterproofing. I mean, there's every pool is waterproofed. It's just a standard now. And most builders that I know, that's their standard too. There's a lot of builders out there that don't do it. I mean, it's expensive.
They just don't. Well, that's true. Either it's a cost that they don't, that the owner doesn't want to have, or they just don't know any better.
Yep.
This old adage like that plasters waterproof.
Yeah.
And it's not waterproof.
No, it's not.
Cementuous.
Yep.
It is porous.
Yep.
It is not waterproof. So I mean, even tile, porcelain, like it doesn't matter what you put in there. Glass, like water, will find its way through. So you have to have some kind of membrane or waterproofing to stop that. So
you have to. So I would say, I mean, that's like my number one, like kind of pet peeve thing. It's like, and there's times where I'll hear somebody like, oh, well, this person, they say they can build the same pool for this. And it's like, let me see their specs. Like, there's not anywhere does it say anything about waterproofing or damp proofing or anything like that. And then, like, if they are doing it, what are they using?
Yeah.
And then what's their process? Like, are they using like any type of mesh with it, or are they just painting it on? And like, and there are, some products out there you don't need a mesh or, but like, again, there's a lot of bad waterproofing out there too. Yep. And so,
what waterproofing do y'all use?
I love Miracoat. That's
Miracoat's
like
great,
our go-to. To be honest, that's really, we've used
outside a pool shell or inside.
But, well, it depends on the design, but typically it's always inside. First you got to stop it from the inside. There's been certain like projects where you literally do, I mean, anything you can get to, which some of them you can get to all of it. So it just kind of, if there's a room underneath it or like, if not, then maybe it's not quite as big of a deal. But, and then, just the plumbing system itself, like the hydraulics back in the day, it was, this pump will put, a 1-inch pipe and it sucks from there and returns from there.
A big ass pump on it.
Yeah. Boom. Little pipe, big pump. Sounds good.
Yeah.
And now it's like, let's get little pumps with big pipes. You don't need these massive pumps. If you're calculating the hydraulics, you don't need that. And it's so much more efficient. You get way more life out of your pump, out of your plumbing, everything, and the pool functions way better.
Yeah.
And, also, too, kind of the rule of thumb is, you want to turn the water over in a pool every 6 hours. And it's like, okay, fair enough. But you could also slow that down and do it for longer. And, it's more efficient and it's better on the filter. So I think the pool industry has always been kind of, just like some good old boys out there just sort of winging it. And so it's come a long way in the past 10 years. There's been a lot of, science behind some of the methods that we're doing. That's why a lot of them have changed.
I mean, and some of it's like fountains and stuff too.
Yeah.
You guys got into. I mean, we did that one with you guys that was really complex. A multi-pool deal. There's
more. I think we've probably, the more complex projects have been fountains more than pools.
Really?
Yeah. Just, whenever you're moving water
up and down
and, the multi layers of it can complicate things.
Yeah. Well, what, kind of along that same line, like what pool features do you think are just not worth the hype? Like they just cause more problems.
Acrylic panels, windows and pools.
Windows and pools.
You don't need
okay, like
there's the newest hot thing right now. We've got 2 of them under construction.
But you can see the swimmers.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I think it's a fad. I think it's one of those gimmick, like back in the like late 80s or I don't know, early 90s, it was a lot of people were putting those glass block on spa spillways.
Oh yeah,
like
I saw a lot of that.
And horrible idea. They expand, they contract. It's just there's just a lot of things that aren't good about it. And
That's so
I think this is kind of the new glass brick, and it's so expensive. Nobody really, a lot of homeowners don't understand the maintenance to keep them going for a long time. You have to remove that silicone rebate, or the silicone that's in the rebate, and redo it.
Really?
Like every so often. I mean, it's almost like a mastic joint on like a deck.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to last very long, especially with the sun hitting it and everything. So,
Well, like pool water too, it's corrosive.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It just eats that stuff right up.
Yep. And if you got a guy taking care of the pool that doesn't know what he's doing, it's going to eat it up even quicker.
That's true.
So we've done several, and I'm not a fan, and I've had issues with them. We've had ones that don't have issues, but still, they're just,
It's not worth it.
it's not worth it. I don't care how much money, if you gave me all the money in the world and I was building the craziest pool ever, I would not put one in my pool.
That's interesting.
That's
I
good.
would have never thought like the acrylic panels would be that big of an issue. And I wonder too, like what other, because when I think about like products like on the build side or like the home construction side that have come on the market over the years that really just ended up being like EIFS comes to mind. Exterior insulation, the foam, caused a lot of mold issues because you're putting foam on the outside of your cladding or your sheathing
in summer,
and
southern
then
climates.
you're stuccoing it and then painting it with an elastomeric paint, so you're just sealing all the moisture in the wall, and it caused so many like mold and rot issues. And I'm wondering, have there been anything over the years that's come at, like either features, it could be like, I don't know, like the negative edges or the spillways or the wet edge. I don't know what you call it, where like the water's coplanar with the patio.
It depends on what part of the country you're in. It's zero edge, perimeter overflow.
So I wonder if there's like features or products that sort of have come into the market that have really caused issues over the years. I mean, you said glass block was one of them. I mean, people.
That was one. I mean,
and the acrylic.
You can do and I don't want to say like an acrylic panel it's always, they're going to fail. Like if the expectation, like if you tell the client, look, and our acrylic panel guy, he's like, let me talk to your client. Let me explain everything. Let me even tell them when we need to service this thing and how much it's going to cost before you sell it. Because if they don't do it, they're going to have a failure. Like we're tearing out the biggest residential panel at the time. It's probably not anymore. It's in Austin, and it's this big radius thing, and it's been there, I don't know, 10, 12 years, and no one has ever done any maintenance on it. And it's just almost destroyed the whole basin and all this awesome tile that's underneath it. It's delaminating because water's gotten behind it because there's just no silicone left, or it's all just messed up. So, I mean, I would say, I don't know if there's a specific product that's like that insulation or the foam you're talking about, but glass tile in our market in Central Texas, I'm not going to say, Southern California, I know buddies there that use it on almost every pool, and it's great. It looks beautiful, but their weather doesn't fluctuate like it does here. I mean, it was probably 40 degrees in my house last night, or it will be maybe on Friday tonight, and then tomorrow it's going to get into the 70s. And so that's just a lot of thermal expansion for in glass. It expands a lot or differently than concrete or cementitious products. So when we had the Snowmageddon or the freeze in Central Texas, and I think it was 21, I think it was.
I think you're right, 21.
Everybody lost power.
Yep.
And the amount of failures we had on glass tile compared to a porcelain or even a ceramic, none on those, but several on glass tile.
Wow.
Because, and especially the water line, they lose power, so no water's moving, and that water line is right in the center of that tile, and it's glass, and it just I mean, check cracking and all kinds of.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And one thing that is frustrating about the pool industry that's slowly changing is you have these like pool tile manufacturers that are like, oh yeah, look at all this tile that we offer. And it's all mesh backed. It's all made in like China or India. And it doesn't go through the testing that we have here in the States. And so they'll say, oh, pool rated. Okay, what rating?
Right.
Oh, well, you know, and it's like, well, how can you say that? Like, well, it's frost proof. And then you'll talk to, you know, like a tile rep, like, yeah, I've had people use it in a bunch of pools. Like, okay, I want to see the data. I want to see the testing.
Yeah.
Like, and then they don't have it. So
Right.
if you're going to go with glass tile, it needs to be, there's only a few manufacturers that I would probably, you know, I would go to, and they need to have the testing, and you got to use their setting methods, and it cannot have mesh on it, because that mesh, what happens is it disintegrates over time. It just, the pool water, whatever, and then you don't have full coverage on the backside, and water gets back there, and then if we have any, you know, freezing or anything, or even if we don't, it just
popping. It
starts to pop.
Interesting.
And you got failures, and so I'm big on not steering people away from glass tile unless, or at least I prep them, and it needs to be the right tile.
Right. It's not necessarily trying to sway their decision. It's just giving them the information and letting them make the decision and say, like, look, this is the risk if you want to go this route.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, I got
go
something
ahead.
that I think is started to become a trend that I think is crazy in the pool world, but cooling pools, pool coolers.
Yeah.
That's big in
that-
Texas.
Yeah, that's a
is
good point. I didn't even
wild.
think about that. Yeah. It's kind of a norm now for me. But
crazy.
yeah, chillers are so popular.
And what does that add on to a pool roughly in cost?
It depends on the chiller, but
Yeah,
I
probably
would
size
say,
of
you know, like the out of the box chiller, like when I say that, like the big three, the Pentair, the Jandy, the Hayward, or, you know, there's some other companies that's kind of specialize in them, but you're probably talking, I don't know, around $8,000.
Yeah.
You know, maybe $9,000.
Yeah.
There's a company that, if you're really trying to chill a pool, like, or do a cold plunge or something, then there's like pretty much only one company I would recommend, and it's they specialize in it, and they do like, you know, like aquarium environments for fish that need a certain temperature, and it's a company called American Chillers, and they're
so crazy.
they're, you know, on another level. Than you cannot compare their stuff to like a Pentair,
Yeah.
you know, heater or cooling pump, but
Yeah.
you know, those still work, but they're more of like I tell people it's kind of like they have maybe a 10 to 12 degree delta. Don't expect any more. Like, you're not going to make this a cold plunge. There's just no way.
Yeah. So what's the benefit? I mean, you spend $8,000 to $10,000 to put a chiller, and like, what temperature are you really getting the water
You're
to?
in a colder pool.
It's cooler.
Yeah, I mean, but 10 degrees, 12 degrees is a pretty big jump for
I mean,
water.
If it's
Yeah.
100 degrees outside
if
and
the
it's
pool is, I
90.
mean, there's some pools at 90 degrees. You have black plaster, it could be 90 degrees for sure.
Yeah.
So dropping it 10 degrees is, that's significant.
You know, and I wonder too, does the chiller also help with maintenance, or like keeping the water cleaner and clearer?
It can. It just kind of depends on the chemistry of the water. I mean, sometimes, you know, when it's cooler, it could actually be the opposite. It just kind of depends on where your levels are at. And
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay, so if you had, you know, $2 million, let's say, and you were building your own personal pool, like, what features would you include, and what equipment, what, you know, lighting, like, what's really the best of the best in your opinion?
I really love edge pools. You know, whether it's just a negative edge where only maybe one or two sides have the edge, or a full perimeter overflow, or zero edge, or Lautner edge for the architects out there, or knife edge. Those, they're beautiful. They're different. They're pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So I would definitely have one of those.
like that one we did over off Stratford.
Yeah,
That
it's
was-
sweet. I mean, it's beautiful. Like you,
really nice.
So basically, the entire edge, the entire perimeter edge of the pool is like an overflow.
Yep.
So
No
the water
skimmers.
is just being pumped in and it overflows. And then there's a tiny, like, or I say
Little
tiny,
slot.
but there's a slot between, you know, like the tile and the coping that allows the water to flow into it. So visually you walk out and it looks like, you know, your patio is completely flush to your pool water, right? Instead of it being, you know, 6 or 7 inches below. And it's really cool. And then there's like a trough drain that collects all that water and sends it back to the filter. Which are those maintenance headaches? It seems like that's a big maintenance nightmare.
If the like, and on the front end, if it's designed properly and built properly, they're actually easier to maintain because
the whole thing acts as a skimmer.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much one leaf gets on the top of that water, it's in that gutter like that. You know, where a traditional pool, you might have 2 skimmers. You know, eventually that leaf will probably get into one of those little skimmers, depending on their placement. And you know, if not, it'll go to the bottom, and you know, it gets cleaned up. But with an overflow pool, it's just a big skimmer essentially.
Wow.
And it has, so if you notice a regular pool, regular coping, the water, you know, especially if it's not, I don't know, it can look kind of stagnant if you're really noticing it. Like if you had 2 pools next to each other, one of them's a perimeter overflow, one of them is not. It's not as clear and crisp and glassy looking.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain unless you're really looking at both, but you can really tell. It has a different pristine like look to it.
That's fascinating.
And,
Well, I think we can probably pull up some pictures or show some pictures
Definitely.
of the pool y'all did that we're talking about. Okay, so you got your knife edge. Like what else would you do?
As far as equipment, I mean, I don't know. I go back and forth. Like, so, you know, a couple years ago, I was a big Pentair fan. Not that I'm not a Pentair fan right now. Some of their products are better than others. You know, right now, I'm probably, if you look at one of my equipment sets, there's more Jandy on it than anything. That being the pump and the filter. Their automation, all their automation sucks. They've been in the Stone Age they've been using the same automation for years.
Yeah.
And the problem
There's
with
no
the pool,
AI. ChatGPT is not
definitely
going on over there.
no. But it's changing quickly, thank God.
Okay.
But so there's Pentair, Jandy, and Hayward for years. We call them the big 3, and they get together and they, you know, in these closed door meetings, and it's pretty shady. But like, if all 3 of them are like, yeah, we don't need to advance this, then we're all just not, you know, we're not moving forward.
Wow.
Well, there was a company that finally, it was actually a guy that I want to say he came up with this like automation technology for restaurants, and this might not be 100% accurate, but I've been told that I think it was one of the you sit people, and it's just a way to manage the restaurant, and everything's automated and whatnot. Well, this guy sold his company. You know, he's building an awesome pool and house, and they're done building it, and he's like, wait a minute, this is the automation? You're kidding me. I'm like, yeah, this is the best. And it's like, okay. So he was like, no, I'm going to, and so he basically made his own automation and was like, you know what, I'm going to produce this and start selling, I guess, pool automation. So that's what he did. And
What is it called?
it's called Poolside Tech, and is the company, and the attendant is what the automation is. It's what we put on. What's the last one we did that with the concrete?
Over at Tanglewood?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that has a Poolside Tech on it. I'm almost certain, or an
nice.
attendant. That's what that's kind of our standard now, as of very, very recently.
So Poolside Tech is like your go-to for pool automation.
For automation, yeah, it's
and
just
then,
so
and Jandy equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jandy pumps and filters, and there's
Well,
nothing
it
wrong.
sounds nice that it's agnostic, right? You can do the pool tech with any
equipment.
Yeah.
So
and,
that's
and I'm going to tell you something that I haven't been able to confirm yet, but I heard that Pinter, Jandy, and Hayward got together, and they're somehow trying to go internally into their pumps and their lights and make it where they can't communicate with this attendant. That's how shady it is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I
That's
didn't
sketchy.
realize they were all like colluding. We got big pool equipment.
Someone needs to
take them down.
crack down.
Gosh darn it. We're gonna expose them.
Yep, we need to.
Oh my gosh.
It's
I didn't realize this was such a scandal in
Oh,
the
yeah,
the
dude.
pool equipment.
pool,
area.
pool
Get 'em outta
industries.
here.
Pool industries can be. It's funny.
You know, it's funny, the pool industry, it's so similar. You know, I mean, think about a lot of the trades that we've got on construction site. You know, I mean, concrete, for example, you know, there's all sorts of different concrete, but it's its own little world.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, it's very separate, you know, but they got plumbers, there's electricians,
But they will
there's
not.
concrete, but there's no crossover.
None.
It's so funny.
And that's one thing that I've always said, you know, anybody that'll listen to me is, for whatever reason, like, the sub base for the pool industry is awful. Like, people either they're like, I'm not going to be working on just pools, or it's like, you know, I don't know, but for some
That's
reason,
so
it's like
weird.
it's been so hard to find like quality subs in the pool industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild.
Yeah.
Where, and you know, I'm not a high-end home builder or anything. I've only done pools my whole life, but I work alongside of, you know, y'all and some of these, you know, really great builders, and I see some of their trades, and they're just so much more professional and just I don't know. I could go on for days,
no,
but
I think there's something there. But it's just like, it feels like the ugly stepchild a little bit.
it 100%. And what's wild to me, it's like, it can be very lucrative if one of those guys is like, you know what, I'm just going to take a
figure it
year to
out.
really learn that and be the best at that. And there have been a select few, but you know, they get so busy, but you know, luckily we're in bed with a couple of them, but I mean, they're far and few between. It's wild. Now you go to California, it's a little different. They've got some awesome subs there.
Yeah.
Outside of California, I mean, not even Florida, not even, or at least, you know, I'm sitting in Austin saying that, but
No,
it's
True. Yeah.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, okay, so if you were to talk to, you know, somebody like yourself, like a young 15-year-old who maybe was getting into the industry, and, you know, maybe they were, you know, they didn't really know which way to jump, you know, what would you say to them to maybe motivate them to get into pool construction? Like, what motivates you? You know, what gets you going every day, and what would you tell this 15-year-old?
Well, first I would say start taking some Watershape University classes, which is an organization of some very prestigious, amazing, I mean, it really was started by an engineer who is like the engineer of the pool industry. I mean, he's done stuff for like the big three, the Pinter, Jandy, Hayward, like hydraulic. He's like a hydraulic wizard, but he also structural and anyway, he's the one that put all the curriculum together for this Watershape University. It actually used to be another organization called Genesis. And that's kind of a long story. Genesis is still around, and it's still great. They have very similar curriculum, but he wasn't. My understanding is he wasn't like he came up with a lot of the curriculum, but he wasn't like an owner in it, and so there was some stuff going on. He's like, you know what, I can do this on my own and have more control and this, that, and the other. Which it's good. Competition's good, you know. Yeah. So there's two really good places nowadays that you can go and get a lot of amazing education. Yeah. And so I would say anybody that's in the pool industry looking to get into it, take every class they have. It's not cheap, but like they're making it a lot less expensive, and they've really stepped up ever since COVID. There's a lot of on-demand classes. I mean, you can only do so much on the computer, but you can do a lot, you know? Yeah. And some classes you have to do in person. You know, they have like, they have tile setting classes. Wow. They have plaster classes. I mean, pool electrical. You know, and it starts with basic pool construction, you know, then they have it advanced, like it goes all the way up. But their hydraulic class is what really was like, when I took that years ago, it really, I mean, it changed the way I look at swimming pools for sure.
Cool.
Crazy.
Yeah. And there's a ton of stuff online, but that's education. Like, I don't care how long you've been doing something. There are better and newer methods and just different ways of doing it.
Yeah,
and anyone that's like, oh, I've been doing it this way for 30 years. Well, okay, you have, but there's probably more efficient, but like just better ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, once you get to that point where you feel like you've got everything figured out, you know, you're unteachable. It's like, man, I don't know. It's time for you to go, because there's always something to learn every single day. There's always something you can learn. 100%.
Always.
So
There's, it's
well, TJ, man, I certainly learned a lot, you know, listening to you today, and I appreciate your time coming on. I know you're busy, so I appreciate you taking some time out of your day.
I appreciate you having me.
Cheers to you.
baby.
Appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next one.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.